There we go. That's better. Hi. Sorry. It's kind of cold in here. Not freezing, but it's, 40 something outside? 55. So it's, I don't believe that. Anyway, hi. We are going to go over what I said I was going to do with the rest of the NFC. I ended up doing a mock draft from the Draft Network. If you guys want to have some fun with that, or whomever's watching it, like to have some fun with that, go to the Draft Network. You can create mock drafts. I did all 7 rounds for this specific group, but, for fun. Also, because that way I give you an idea of what I was kind of thinking draft-wise. Also going to go over some of the rule changes. There's some of the rules I don't understand. I'm going to flat out tell you, but there are a couple of rules that they're going to change or they're looking to change that I'm a big fan of. So, hang on. Ugh. Sorry, it's pulling the front of my shirt and it's making me feel like I got something wrapped around my neck. So, first we'll go over the rule changes because there's only a couple of them I'm going to talk about. One, it's being proposed by a couple of teams that they change the jersey rule. I'm fine with that. What it is, it has to do with numbers. So the greatest example that I have is Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry coming out of Alabama wore number 2. When he got to the NFL, they told him, you can't wear 2. It's against the rules. You can wear 22. And I've always thought that was really dumb because who cares? Guy wants to wear 2, fine. As long as his quarterback isn't wearing 2, have at it. I'll address that. Yeah, I'm drinking iced. What's it called? Sparkling ice. Sparkling ice with caffeine. This is the strawberry citrus one. It's delicious. I need the caffeine, otherwise I may fall asleep here. That rule I always thought was dumb. I think that they should change it. Derrick Henry was asked about this, and he brought up another rule that I agree also should be changed, which I'm also going to go into a tangent that kind of deals with that. But anyway. The helmet rule. So the rule is at the moment, if we switch to our throwbacks, or you'll see what do they call it for Thursday night? Is it Color Rush? Color Rush. Where like the Eagles have, is it black and green? It's black and that dark green, but their helmets are green. That one works. The biggest team that I think of when I go, that doesn't look right, is the Seahawks. They wear their regular blue helmets in green. And you go, why isn't the helmet a different color? The Packers don't have a different helmet. They have an away helmet, I think, and that's the one that's white or something like that for people who are colorblind. I forget. But the idea is, okay, if we want to go to our throwback uniforms, which some teams do, the Bucks have done it a couple times. The Eagles, I think, should stick with the Kelly Greens. I like them a little better. They have to wear whatever designated helmet they have for the league. That color. I don't mean the helmet design. That they flip back and forth on. I mean the color, the logo, all that. And one of the things Derrick Henry brought up was we should be changing that rule because it's stupid. I agree. It's stupid. If a team wishes to pay for all the different ideas that they have, like the throwback uniforms that are, in the case of the Bucks, it's like highlighter orange. Sorry, I'm adjusting something. That's why. There's a stool over here, and I'm like, I can see the bottom of it, but I can't see the top of it. It's the one that's really high. I'm sitting on a stool. But, it's just one of those rules that's really stupid. Another rule that I think is stupid is the cleat rule. You can't have personalized cleats. It's against the rules. Well, when they have the personalized cleat month, or whenever they do that, where they let them wear them, no one notices that they're not the regular cleats unless you zoom in on them because, they're on their feet. But anyway, that's just one of those rules that frustrates you. You go, why does it matter? He wants to wear cleats that say RIP mom on them because his mom died of breast cancer and their breast cancer awareness. Have at it. No one's going to notice it from 90 feet away when you're showing this wide shot unless you zoom in on his feet. Also in the case of, was it somebody had like orange? When they did it once, they had like orange on the back. It actually helped because when he landed out of bounds, you could see his heels as opposed to their white shoes and he landed on the white line and we don't know if he's in or not. Yeah. Anyway, that's a hill I'll die on. Okay. That in collegiate athletics with the understanding of GPAs. That's another one, which actually there's a really good documentary about how certain people grade. In that case, it had to do with high school ball. It's just overall a great documentary, also because I saw the movie, but if you want to watch it, it's called It's a 30 for 30. Oh, I can't think of it now. It has to do with the Friday Night Lights movie, not the show. The movie in which it's based on true events that happened in Texas. And that's not entirely true because they have, is it Perriman playing the team they played in the state championship, even though it wasn't the state championship. It's a really good documentary if you guys want to see it. It's on 30 for 30. It's on Hulu and ESPN Plus. Now, we'll get to what you guys really wanted to know about, which was the rule change that I am a big fan of. I didn't cover it in the description because it would be like a paragraph long. There is a rule change that's being discussed, and I am a big fan. And that is eliminating overtime sudden death. What do I mean by that? Eliminating the overtime rules that exist now and making it sudden death. I am a big fan. Why? It should be. It's stupid that I won the coin toss. There's 10 minutes. I'm going to run the ball until there's a minute-ish to go. So we end in a tie. There are no ties. Either you won or you lost. I think this. Okay, fine. I think they've limited it to 10 minutes. Cool. We roll for 10 minutes. If it's still a tie, you roll for 10 minutes and it's this. The rule is, or sorry, no, the rule right now is 10 minutes. I want them to eliminate that also. Eliminate the 10-minute rule. Sorry, I went on a tangent for a minute about a different rule that they were talking about that I don't agree with at all. Which is to make, that I do agree with. It's the section of it that I read that I'll explain that in a second. What I think they should do for overtime in the regular season, as opposed to the preseason, they're talking about eliminating overtime in the preseason, which my answer to that is, yeah, of course. Who cares? If you tied in the preseason, nobody gives a rip roaring. You know, it's just stupid. It's a scrimmage. We tied. It doesn't matter. It doesn't do anything to you. Regular season, kind of important. Yeah. Sorry, dead skin patch in the middle of my hand. Another thing that's fun about renal disease. In my case, I'm no longer in renal disease, but I still have some of the long-term things that happen, including losing my train of thought. Makes my ADD that much worse. So currently, the overtime rule for regular season is this. I believe it's 10 minutes. It's either 15 minutes or 10 minutes. You play, whoever scores a touchdown first wins, which is dumb. I think they should do this. It's untimed. You start at your own 25. You got to drive down the field. If you drive down the field and score, kick a field goal or a touchdown, you automatically have to give the ball back. The other team gets a shot. If they drive down the field and score, you don't go back to, I guess we go back to the 25. No, at that point you go, okay, we're at a standstill. Both offenses got a shot. We line up the ball at the 25-yard line. And you send out your kicker. And we move it back 10 yards every time you make it until somebody misses. Suddenly your kicker comes in handy, doesn't he? What you do is you line that up and eventually, you kick it until somebody misses. Whoever missed loses. I think that's more fair. You won't hear as much whining about it because even I don't like the rule where you go, that's just dumb. For instance, was it the AFC Championship game? Yeah, it's AFC Championship game. The Chiefs and the Patriots. Patriots drove down the field beautifully and scored. And you go, really cool. And Pat Mahomes had to stand on the bench and was like, I guess we lose now. And it's like, that doesn't seem fair. He should be able to go out and go, let's see if we can do it. Now, why do I want to eliminate the ability to, well, then I guess put it back at the 25 and run back down the field? Because then you're going to end up with what happened in college, which is Texas A&M and LSU, where the game goes for an extra 2 hours. And that's not something we want. The rule that was frustrating me, that I couldn't think of, is not a time change now that I think about it. It's the elimination of the overtime ability in preseason. I don't think anybody's going to have a problem with that. By all means, eliminate it. Who cares? We tied? You tied in a scrimmage. Ooh. That's essentially what it is. It's not, unless you're talking about week 4. Week 4 in the preseason, your starters are out there a little longer because we're actually trying to see what we got. Where in the preseason, it's my starting quarterback may play for a whole 4 minutes. Maybe. In the case of Detroit a couple years ago, Stafford didn't play at all until like the last game. And even then, he was only out there for like half of the first quarter, and then he was gone. Because there's no point in having him get hit and being screwed. In the case of Detroit, their offensive line sucks anyway. Okay. Those are the things I wanted to address on the rule changes. I'm cool with that. Now we move on to the thing that I really want to talk about, which is discussing, hang on, let me scroll to the top, mock draft. All right, so I did the NFC South, which is, of course, the Falcons, the Panthers, the Patriots, and the Buccaneers. You're going to hear me argue about this for a while, but I did this for sake of argument because it's something they could do. The Falcons, you saw me go through last time the number of choices I have for the Falcons where, hey, with the first pick, they could do this, 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 this. Well, a buddy of mine called me and was like, I see you did that format that you do again, because I've done it before, where you roll down this pick, this pick, this pick, this pick, this guy. You could pick this guy, that. And he's like, you know how confusing that is? Because then technically you're never wrong. And part of the reason I do this is to prove that I'm smarter than the guys at ESPN. And I said, oh, okay. I went to the Draft Network. Really, really cool website. Totally tell anybody that's on here, check it out. You can run mock drafts. And I was like, oh, that's right. You can select what team you want to pick for. So I just picked the NFC South. And I went ahead and did a mock draft of who I think they'll pick for all 7 rounds. Now, this is where we get to for sake of argument. The Falcons, they have the 4th overall pick. Who are they going to take? In a perfect world, I'd love to see them take Kyle Pitts, and I really think they could do it. But I think it's going to depend on who the Bengals take. So for sake of argument, I said the Falcons should take Penei Sewell. I know I said Kyle Pitts in a different one. I'm sure I'll change my mind again. I want them to take Pitts. Their offensive coordinator probably wants them to take Pitts. The fans probably want them to take Pitts. But I said, let's look at your offensive line. Your depth with your offensive line sucks. So let's get you an offensive lineman. I can get you a tight end later. Was kind of my thought. Okay. Then I have the Panthers. The Panthers take Trey Lance. Now, before I hear people whine about that one, I know they have Teddy Bridgewater. I know they have now Sam Darnold. By the way, he sucks. My thought was, look, if they're not sure about Darnold, which I wouldn't be sure about Darnold if I was paid a coach's salary. In fact, I'm not sure about him right now. I don't know why you traded for him except for depth, because he sucks. He wasn't very good in college, and he's not very good in the pros so far. But I see going, give him a chance. Fine. You take a guy like Trey Lance who can run your system. You know that because you basically run the same system North Dakota State did. And you do this. You're going to sit. And you tell him that when you draft him. Look, you're probably not going to play. Unless Darnold completely takes a dump on the field, you're probably going to be the backup. And we're going to have Bridgewater mentor you a little bit. And we'll have Darnold kind of be around. And, hey, if we need you, we need you. I think that would be great, especially if you're not sure about Darnold. I could also see them going offensive line. If they really think they do want to roll with Darnold, I wouldn't. Saints, I have them taking Trevon Moehrig, safety out of TCU. I've heard people say Moehrig, and I've looked at it, and I honestly have to ask, where's the A? It's not spelled with an A, it's Moehrig, based on basic English. I have the Bucs taking Landon Dickerson. Of course, he is the guard/center from Alabama. Now, I'm not usually real high on people coming out of Alabama, but I think this pick makes sense for this reason. One, he adds depth to the guard position. Two, you could roll him at center. I think that is why you do it. It's just a smart decision because he can play both. Round 2, I have the Falcons taking Asante Samuel, corner out of Florida State. Their corner position is abysmal. You desperately need another corner. Don't think you can really go wrong with Asante Samuel. Kid's really good. Panthers, I have them taking Wyatt Davis, interior offensive lineman from Ohio State. Why? Well, in a perfect world, had he not injured himself, he'd be a first-round talent all day long. Due to the injury, I see him sliding down people's boards. I don't see him sliding past round 2. You desperately need some interior guard help, and he is a really good one. Saints, I have them taking Pat Freiermuth. Why Pat Freiermuth? He's a big kid, he's a good receiver, and he can block. Something they need. Bucks, I have them taking Tommy. I'm going to screw up this kid's last name until I hear them say it on draft day, and even then I'm not going to be convinced because the commissioner can't read. Tommy Togiai. I assume that's how that's pronounced. It's times like this, it's like I wish I could call Kirk Herbstreit and go, "Hey, you're a Bucks. You're an Ohio State fan. How do you pronounce this?" In a perfect world, I could just call, the guy and go, "How do you pronounce your name?" Which reminds me, speaking of pronunciations, this is going to drive me nuts forever. Who's the quarterback for the Miami Dolphins? Tua. How do you say his last name? I'll tell you how you say his last name. Because he read it during spring practice, his sophomore year. It's Tua Tung Avai Aloha. Not Tagovailoa, not Tagovailoa, however the hell the commissioner said it, which he screwed up. How do I know how to pronounce it? 1, I can read basic English. 2, Notre Dame has his cousin. His name is Myron Tagovailoa Amosa. His brother, I believe it's his brother, played for Navy. In this case, he flipped it. It was Amosa Tagovailoa. Please say it correctly. It drives me nuts. Okay, now I go to round 3, the Falcons. Now, I discussed at one point, like I said, maybe I'd take Kyle Pitts. In a perfect world, I'd take Kyle Pitts. But for the sake of argument, I went with Penei Sewell. Here I have them take their tight end. I have them take Tommy Tremble out of the University of Notre Dame. Now, before I hear you guys give me crap because I'm a Notre Dame fan, that had nothing to do with it. It has to go with what you need and where you're picking. In this case, round 3, you need a tight end who can be athletic and can block. Oh, what does Tommy Tremble do really well? He's really athletic, even though Notre Dame didn't use him as that, and he is the best blocker in the entire draft, including some of the offensive linemen. So you take Tommy Tremble and you're happy about it. Panthers take Stone Forsythe. Now, if Stone Forsythe needs a little work, he's not as well polished as some of the other tackles, but he's really good. He comes out of Florida. I don't think he'd be upset with that. The Saints take Benjamin St. Juste, cornerback out of Minnesota. He's really tall. He's really athletic, and I like him. I think that would be a choice that they would be perfectly happy with. Now, the Saints have another pick in this round. They have I don't remember the number off the top of my head. It's a little bit past the pick they have. I have them taking Dylan Moses, linebacker out of Alabama. Why? Well, at that point, the kid's just too good. You can't pass on him at that point. I mean, truly, he's not going to be available the next time you pick in the 4th round. So you take him, you can put him in interior. I also think he can play a little on the outside. I prefer that you stick him inside, but if you need him on the outside, I think he can do just fine. Round 4, I have the Falcons taking Andre Cisco, safety out of Syracuse. The Panthers taking Divine Diablo, safety out of Virginia Tech. I actually could flip-flop those. Both guys are very good. The Saints take Osa Odigizua. Of course, his brother Omowagbe played for the Giants. He, of course, also came out of UCLA. Osa Odigizua, I really like him in the 3 technique. I also like his twitchiness, and he's really, really good at shedding tackles and getting in the backfield, something that the Saints could really use. The Bucks. Now, this pick I'm going to have to redo. In this case, I would say offensive line, defensive line, or a safety. Why? I had them taking Ramondre Stevenson, and since I've had them taking Ramondre Stevenson, they went and signed Giovanni Bernard. So that's not helpful. You're going to get 2 backs that do essentially the same thing, not to mention the fact that you already have a back that can do that. It just doesn't make sense. So that pick wouldn't happen. Probably take a safety, maybe a corner. Round 5, I have the Falcons taking Kylan Hill, running back out of Mississippi State. I really like Kylan Hill. Kid's got a physical edge to him. He's a really good back, and I think in round 5 that would be a steal. Panthers take Marco Wilson. Need depth at corner. Kid's got tools, just needs a little teaching. The Bucks take Alaric Jackson, tackle out of Iowa. Now, he is projected to be a guard. I like him at tackle, but if you need to, you can pitch him in at guard. Another reason you take him is, like I said, you work him out at tackle. If he doesn't work at tackle, you can kick him inside to guard, and then that would mean that you could kick Landon Dickerson to center. Round 6. This one you're going to hear me go back and forth on because I read somewhere that he might have not come out, and there are a couple names in the database for the Draft Network with guys that didn't come to the draft. They're still at college. And that's Shaka Toney, defensive end out of Penn State. I don't see him falling that far, but if he should, that is a sprint to the podium pick. The Falcons then they have 3 picks in a row. Well, not in a row. They have 3 picks, 2 that are back-to-back, and the third one's like 2 or 3 picks after that. So I have them taking Naquan Jones, defensive tackle out of Michigan State. I know Michigan State didn't play that great this year, but they had a really good interior the last couple of years, and the kid eats blockers, something that you desperately need. The Falcons then take Daz Newsome with their next pick, slot receiver. Kid can play really well, and he's super athletic. The Panthers take Matt Bushman. They get a tight end that they could use. He's big. He's athletic. He blocks. And then the Bucks take Demetric Felton. Demetric Felton is a guy I didn't really know much about. I don't watch a lot of UCLA ball. I watched him during the Senior Bowl. And the fact that he was willing and wanted to play running back, wide receiver, and returner really made me interested in him. I mean, if he can be a Swiss Army knife, I don't think the Bucks pass on that. In fact, I don't see very many teams passing on that. You need a guy that can be a Swiss Army knife. 7th round, I have the Saints taking LaRon Stokes. I don't know if he falls that far. He was just available, and it's a position they desperately need. I have the Falcons taking their backup QB, KJ Costello, out of Mississippi State. This one I went back and forth on. I had the Falcons possibly taking Texas A&M's quarterback was shoot. I can see his face. This is going to drive me insane. Hang on. It's Kellen Mond. I couldn't think of that. I don't know. I haven't taken Kellen Mond also as a possibility in like round 4 or 5. Why? He has an explosive arm. Ball really rips out of his hand quickly. He's also got good mobility and pretty good vision. In the case of why I picked KJ Costello here, I think he could be a really good career backup. Could he start? Yeah. Do I want him to start? No. Right now they're rolling with there's something in my eye. Right now they're rolling with Matt Ryan, and I think Matt Ryan has a couple years left in the tank. So getting a decent backup or a guy who could play in your system, KJ Costello, I think that would be a decent pick. Also, if you watch his tape when he was at Stanford, the kid was actually pretty good. Mississippi State, he struggled a little bit, but when he was with Stanford, he looked really good. The Panthers take Tuf Borland. I think, again, you'd be happy that you get him for some depth, also because your linebacking core needs some help. The Saints take Trevon Grimes, giving you a big receiver who can run. The Bucks take Paris Ford, giving you a safety. Again, like I said, you probably, instead of Ramondre Stevenson's, take a safety. They might even take him there. And the Saints take Peyton Ramsey. Peyton Ramsey had a really decent career with Indiana. I wasn't as thrilled with him at Northwestern. He was serviceable at Northwestern, but I didn't like him as much at Northwestern. Another pick that I had the Saints possibly doing was also Kellen Mond. I think he could fit their system. Guy that I thought of just based on what they've got already on the I almost said on campus, in the tank with their roster is right now you've got Jameis Winston, who is relatively mobile. He's not really that fast, but he can gain you 5-6 yards. Pretty good arm. You have Taysom Hill, who has kind of the opposite problem. His arm is decent, but he's super athletic. And so I was like, okay, well, who could you find that would be the good middle ground? And I immediately thought of Ian Book. Not a Notre Dame bias thing. Simply, he would be a good middle ground. He's got a really good arm when it comes to short and intermediate throws. Deep, he needs a little work. But to be honest with you, how often do you really need to rip the ball deep? Not often. If something were to happen to Jameis, who could be a guy that would be a nice intermediary if you're not really thrilled to go to Hill, which I could see being a thing because although I know they like Taysom Hill, what he does, I don't think they desperately want him to be a quarterback. I think they want him to be that Swiss Army knife where, hey, you're a running back and a slot receiver and a tight end and a kick returner, and hey, we can toss you the ball. Who would be a good intermediary between those two? Ian Book. Dude's super athletic, and he has a pretty good arm. That way you could do some of those trick reverses where you flip it to Taysom Hill and he throws it downfield, or you run an option and you can flip it to Hill, or you can line him up at tight end and you can throw it to him. Those types of things where he isn't the backup. He's a guy that can be in your system right now helping you do other things. Food for thought. That's going to do it. I'm going to do, like I said, I'm going to try and be on here probably tomorrow or Sunday, at latest Monday. And I'm going to do the NFC North, and then I'm going to do the NFC West. I might do both. I'm going to try and do the rest of the NFC, and then I'm going to switch to the AFC. And I will try to release my final mock draft. I say final because these technically count. I don't count them. I count these as me just kind of showing you projections of where I think guys could go, which technically is a mock draft, but I don't refer to it that way. I call it a mock because that's what you would call it. I think of this as me just showing you thought process. My mock for the first round, which is all I will do, I will not do 6th, 7th rounds. Why? That's where you start to get in that murky water of, hey, if some guy falls and they're desperate for him, they take him, which is why I don't do multiple rounds a lot of the time. I will for these because this just shows you, like I said, my thoughts of, hey, if this guy's available, they take him. But my final mock, I will do either the day before or the day of the draft, at which point I will do that live on here, and I will probably actually share the screen, or I'll do it on Facebook. Might do both, if that's possible. But yeah, thank you so much for watching this. Hopefully you have yourself a wonderful day, and I will try to be back tomorrow, unless something pops up. In that case, hope for Monday. All right, bye. Where's the end button? There's my cursor.